perceiving the pastimes that were happening there. Why is it like that? Why is it that they are able to go to that depth and perceive and feel? And why not we? Why do we have difficulty? Why is our mind scattered? Why do we don't have taste to hear? Even if we hear only, we can hear a little bit. But why are we not spontaneously attracted and be there to an extent that we relish the katha so much? Why is that not happening? Vasudeva Kadaruchi. Shan Mahasevaya Vipra. Because we need more purification so our taste can get better. That's what we are trying to do. Seva on one side, Shravanam on the other side. So now what we are doing is Shravanam. How do we know that we are having Vasudeva Kadaruchi? When we are reading these things, this is a Krishna Katha, right? And this is Leela Katha. Krishna Katha is Nama Rupa Guna Leela. So when we are with Nama, Harinama, when we are able to do the Harinama in a way that we want to just continue and not be disturbed by any thoughts that are coming, then there is some steadiness in Nama. There is some attachment in Nama. If we are able to do Nama like that, and Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So this is Leelas that we are hearing, right? And the whole point of reading these Leelas or hearing these Leelas is to cause these samskaras in our mind about the pastimes of the Lord. And with these Leelas that happen, Leelas are the reciprocations between the Lord and his devotees and the pastimes of the Lord. These are meant to create a bond between us and the Lord. And the Lord is actually present in the holy name. Yeah. So this is why we are reading these Leelas. So our thoughts, our thought chamber in the mind is more occupied by these things about the Lord. Right? So that is why we are hearing these pastimes. So yes, please. Now this is about Sanatana Goswami. This is our Acharya, Sanatana Goswami. So what was his achar? What was his behavior? And what can we learn from him? So whenever there is something coming up regarding a pure devotee or Acharya, we want to know what their charita is, their story and their achar is, their behavior. So we can learn from them. That is the purpose of Shravanam. Shravanam about the pure devotees. What is the purpose of Shravanam about? The Lord, we have just discussed, right? To be able to be grounded in Nama, Rupa, Guna and Leela. And that's what absorption means. Little bit of thinking here and there, that will be there. But when that deepens, then that is absorption. And that is why we do the Shravana of the Lord in specific. That is the purpose of doing the Shravanam of the Lord. Antyakalena mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. For that smarana of the Lord. Smarana of Rupa, smarana of Guna, smarana of the Leela. And that smarana would become easier and deeper as we get purified with the seva externally. as we cultivate servitude. What is the purpose of doing seva externally? To cultivate servitude. As we cultivate servitude, then the smana gets deeper. Okay, so that is why we are doing this. We are hearing from these acharyas and about acharyas. Okay, somebody please, you may go ahead and start reading about Sanatana Goswami.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The Vrajavasis' behavior towards Sanatana Goswami from town to town. After staying in one town, when Sanatana would go to another town, the people would follow behind him. Whether a young boy or old man, whoever it was, all would lose their patience and cry as the Goswami would leave. Sanatana Goswami himself would shed tears as he solaced them and sent them back to their own homes. Only after they all stopped crying and returned to their houses would Sanatana leave for their next village. As Sanatana approached the next village, the people would watch him coming from a distance. Whether young or old, man or woman, everyone would say, "Here is Rupa, Sanatana." The Vrajavasis displayed wonderful affection. The villagers could not sit in one place but went to welcome Sanatana, just as a poor man experiences unlimited happiness if he suddenly obtains a valuable jewel. So the Vrajavasis felt unlimited happiness by seeing Sanatana. The old and very old man and woman all treated Sanatana as their own son. Someone said, "My dear son, how did you pass so many days forgetting us? Thinking about you, we were almost dead." Speaking these words, they all looked on the face of Sanatana Goswami. Seeing the wonderful arrangements for his welcome, Sanatana was greatly pleased. The men, women, and youth who were born in that village all had brotherly affection for Sanatana. Someone said, "My dear brother, how are you? You must have forgotten us completely. Why have you become so cruel?" In this way, they spoke with tears in their eyes. All the boys and girls came to touch the feet of Sanatana. Although he tried, he was unable to restrain them. Standing at a distant place of shyness, the married ladies would take darshan of Sanatana.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. And somebody else, please continue.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Srinivasa, just by seeing Sanatan Goswami, everyone forgot even to offer obeisances, etc. However, came rushing to welcome him, would embrace him, take his hand, and lead him along. The villagers would jubilantly have him sit under a sacred tree and welcome, and everyone would sit around him. They would all bring yogurt, butter, and milk from their homes for Sanatana. After he finished eating, they would all sit happily with him. Sanatan affectionately inquired from each person about their well-being. He inquired about how many children, daughters, and sons they had, whether they were married, where they were married, and what were their names, and what was their education. He asked how many cows and bulls one had, how their agriculture was, how much grains they produced, and what was their daily routine. He also asked them how their health was and what was their state of mind. Hearing these inquiries, everyone felt happy. Gradually, each one of them answered his questions. When Sanatana heard someone's distress, he also felt distressed. But Sanatana's solace, they felt relief from their distressed condition. In this way, they passed the whole night. Early in the morning, as soon as Sanatana Goswami had finished his bath and other duties, everyone would come to see him. They would bring milk and yogurt and request Sanatana to accept it. After feeding others, Sanatana would also eat. By seeing others happy, Sanatana would also become happy. As described previously, When he would leave the village, everyone would cry in agitation. Who can describe the affectionate dealings of Sanatan Goswami? He would solace everyone in various ways. The people would follow Sanatan Goswami for some distance until he would give his own vow to make them return to their homes.
Thank you. And somebody else, please continue. Sanatan.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
I think somebody who was at Nitai Gunam Prabhu, somebody else wanted to read, right?
I think it was Jyotsna.
Yeah, please go ahead. And after Jyotsna Mataji, Padma, please. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Sanatana would wander from town to town until he arrived at Baitana Gram. Seeing Sanatana, all the villagers felt so much joy, it cannot be described. Sanatana Goswami inquired about everyone's welfare and thus joyfully passed the day and night. Everyone knew that Sanatana would stay in a place for only one night, so they spoke to him in distress. If you remain for a few days here, it would be auspicious for everyone. Therefore, please accept our plea and don't be cruel to us. Please give up your habit of leaving in the early morning and thus save our lives. Speaking in this way, all the villagers cried. In order to please everyone, Sanatan Goswami agreed to stay. Thus, the people of Baitana and the surrounding villages were always absorbed in his wonderful qualities.
Yes, please. Yeah. Padma, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
O Srinivasa, see this Nipavana, the beauty of which enchants all. Here at Krishna Kunda, they enjoyed unending fun.
Actually, Mataji, I will pause here. So, I think about Sanatana Goswami. I think that's all about Sanatana Goswami there. So, we will comment a little bit about Sanatana Goswami and then we will move forward. Then you can start reading, Mataji. So, Sanatana Goswami. तो अब तक हम लोग पढ़ लिया ना. We have heard about Sanatana Goswami now. What kind of impact did it have on us? How was the time spent so far helpful to us? What did we learn? Sanatana Goswami is a great devotee, pure devotee. But look at the affectionate dealings that Sanatana Goswami had with the Brajavasis, with the people around. Guhyamakhyati prachyate. Bhunte bhojyate eva. Shadvidir priti lakshanam. The exchanges, affectionate exchanges. We might be thinking, Bhakti is okay. I have this, and this. All I have to do is this. And that is Bhakti. We might be thinking, okay, now I that have Harinam, all I have to do is just Harinam and only Harinam. But what about, there are certain things that we need to do in order to invoke the mercy of the Harinam. We have just discussed that, right? That is servit, seva. Shravanam Nama on one side and seva on the other side. So what Sanatana Goswami doing was, this Vaishnava interactions are a form of seva. Seva does not necessarily mean that I have to do so much do physical outside. Because I have to do. We have to do things externally. But that has to be done for a purpose, right? And what is that purpose? To uplift others. Vaishnava Seva, Sanatana Goswami is actually doing Vaishnava Seva. And this is how he's doing Vaishnava Seva. If you look at, if we have heard so far, there was physical help when needed. He cooked for those villagers. He fed them. He talked to them. He found out how their cattle was, how their children were. And he talked about what was there in their mind, and he empathized about what was happening to them. And then he shared kind words. And he listened to them as they were talking what they had to say. This is all Vaishnava Seva. Seva with the body. So whatever physical seva that we can do, that is needed for others, that is one level of Vaishnava Seva. Here in this case, he cooked and then fed them, right? He's an old man, and that is all he was able to do, a physical activity, to show his care for the villagers, right? From a physical level, he did that. And his words were so soothing, uplifting, caring, and he heard to them. And he felt for them, right? So much so that the villagers were crying when he was leaving. And it is said that even today too, that day, the disappearance of Sanatana Goswami's day, no matter what faith or what kind of worship all the Vrajvasis do in Vrindavan, people of all kinds and faith and all the villages, I have heard that thousands and thousands of people come to this place to express their affection to Sanatana Goswami. Regardless if they're Gaudiya or not, just everybody and anybody in that Vrindavan, they would just come to that place. That's what I've heard even to this day. That is one day where so many people just coming. So why Sanatana Goswami is known for that Vaishnava Seva, affectionate dealings. And what happens is this will make a person's heart soft when they are intending to and when they're trying to uplift others with their words, actions, and with their very presence. That is Vaishnava Seva, right? So when the heart is softened like that with servitude, with care for others, then the holy name is perceived more. So that is how the Seva outside is linked with the Shravanam and Nama that we do. This is what we have learned from Sanatana Goswami. It's not just that, okay, I'll do my Harinam and not be so nice to the people around, not be nice, be harsh, or apathic, or most common thing is apathy because of the competition, to want to do the bhakti better. We think doing bhakti better is more like a competition. So in that way, that the spirit of I want to do bhakti better than others can build some apathy. And apathy and insensitivity, and that will cause hard-heartedness. Then Nam Ruchi will not come in when we are hard-hearted. So that's most common thing for sadhakas when we look at bhakti as something competitively wanting to get better than others like that. On the other side of it, yes, we want to do bhakti better. Bhakti means servitude. So I want to serve better is good. That is the right understanding of bhakti. So whatever understanding of bhakti will make our heart soft and caring and uplifting for others, that is the right understanding of bhakti. If we are not like that, and if we continue to read in the sense Shravanam, we are hearing, right? No matter how much Shravanam we do, if we are not putting volunteer effort on the other side to have servitude and to express it to the people around, Acharyas are there, and we want to follow their instruction. But their instructions, that would naturally involve all these things like Vaishnava Seva. So we cannot jump over the Vaishnavas to reach Guru or Acharyas. That is very important. We cannot bypass. And we might be wondering, why am I still like this? We cannot bypass. We cannot jump over the Vaishnavas around to reach Guru or Acharyas. Vani Seva can be done, Acharya Upasana can be done, Guru Nishtha can be done through the Vaishnavas around, not jumping over them. Yeah. So that is what we have heard. That is what we have learned by the Acharya of Sanatana Goswami. Along with this, did you notice that Sanatana Goswami stayed in a place only for one night? This is very subtle, and this is actually the strength to continue the Vaishnava Seva external. Detachment. To be able to serve the devotees outside well, we have to be detached also. And we wonder, how can we be detached and serve better? We can serve better only when we are detached inside. If we start getting more attached, in the sense we want to serve them because they are Krishnas, not because they did this, they did this, they did this to me. Tomorrow they will not do that to you. Then would you still serve that Vaishnava? Because they're not doing anything to you now, anything for you now. What would you feel? Would you feel bitter? Would you still serve that Vaishnava? So that's where the detachment really helps and is needed. Regardless of whether they are doing this, doing anything for us or not, we want to do for them because they're Krishnas and we want to serve them. That's a step ahead, a little more deeper level. But Vaishnava Seva can go on steadily when we come to that platform of attaching to the Vaishnavas through the service. Attachment to the Vaishnava through service itself is a detachment, because we are not expecting much for us. And if we start to expect something from the Vaishnavas around, and if we don't see that happening, and if we start to withdraw, it is because there is no detachment yet inside. This is something to know from the Acharya of Vaishnavas, of the Acharyas. We are getting to know this. Now that the Shravanam has happened, then we will think about it and we'll see how we can slowly apply that. And we can understand why and how the interactions are in a certain way, and how interactions can be affectionate for a long time when these things are observed. So that is about Sanatana Goswami, about this Acharya and his Achar, which is teaching us how to do how to have the Vaishnava interactions with Vaishnava care and detachment. Initially, it might be hard to do this internal detachment. Then we just start with doing Vaishnava Seva. And as we just described, Vaishnava Seva is any deed, word, or even the presence that uplifts the other Vaishnavas, people around. That is Seva. We can start from there. And over a period of time, we can pay attention to this internal detachment. Then we wonder, how can this internal detachment be? Where would we get the strength from? Who do we have? If we are uplifting others and if we're doing for others, who do I have then? We also need somebody, right? Yeah. Who do we have? You look and see. And the Shastra says, I was hearing one of the kathas the other day, specifically for this answer. Our attachment to our Sri Guru and Krishna, when it gets so stronger and so sweet and nourishing, we don't even feel like we need something from others. Again, that will happen over a period of time, and it has to be naturally felt. Yeah. So that is all in all about Vaishnava interactions. And you please see what comes out naturally from you at this point of time. And now that we did the Shravanam, we have heard what levels are there. Gradually over a period of time, you can incorporate that prayerfully, and slowly it can get deeper. Yeah, so we will pause here. And then we can stop the recording, Prabhu, and then maybe take the